1 week before the COVID-19 pandemic struck the world, RFG Advisory hosted its annual advisor retreat from March 10th to the 13th on Captiva Island in Florida. Our guest of honor and keynote speaker was the great Dom Raso, a veteran Navy SEAL Team 6 warrior and founder CEO of Dynamis Alliance. Bobby White, RFG Advisory's founder and CEO, has been training with Dom in his civilian warrior program for almost 4 years and still is today. Yet somehow Bobby knew instinctively that this was exactly the right time to introduce RFG advisors to Dom's training and his crush everything mindset. What we didn't know at the time when we sat down to record this exclusive interview with Bobby and Dom was how prescient this conversation would be. What's needed today more than ever in the face of challenge and uncertainty is a warrior mindset and a servant heart, exactly the values we embrace. We invite you to take part in this amazing and transformative series featuring Bobby White and Dom Raso. We're talking about building your team. You are very strategic about how you spend your time. You spend 1/3 of your time as the CEO of RFG. You spend 1/3 of your time on your practice, which is very large. And you spend 1/3 of your time recruiting advisors to our platform. How do you switch between those three roles and achieve success in all three?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I get asked that a lot, and it goes back to my team. It simply goes back to my team. People and technology. We invested heavily in technology starting about 5 years ago, and then we were very intentional in investing in the people around that. And God has blessed me with an unbelievable team as it relates to all three of the strategic duties that I have as founder and CEO of RFG. And, most financial advisors, and I'll come back to your question, I promise, but most financial advisors are do-it-yourselfers in every single thing. Again, I'm not talking bad about financial advisors. I'm one of you. I've been there. I've done that. I own that T-shirt. The advisor of the future has got to get out of that mentality that you have to do everything yourself. They'll look at me and say, well, Bobby, but my profit margins are 90%. Yeah, but the value of your business is a goose egg. It's zero. No one can come in and buy your practice if you're doing every single thing and replicate what you do without bringing a team of people and technology in there. It is counterintuitive. So if you're an advisor who manages the day-to-day of the money, that does the research and the due diligence on technology, actually enters the financial plan, or just has one assistant who may help you with financial enter data for financial plan, does analysis, does all this. How are you picking up new clients? How are you serving that client? How are you sitting down with that client when that client's having a bad day, where they just found out their spouse is sick, where they need your ear to be that confidant and have that relationship because you know everything about this client. And a good financial advisor knows every single thing there is to know about their client because they trust you. Because one of the things that we hold close to us is our financial life. We don't. Some places a little different than we're in the Southeast, and the Southeast and Midwest, we don't typically go out and say, here's my net worth, here's how much money I got in the bank, here's how much money I got. Here's how much money I make a year. We typically don't do that. They're telling us. So by us being that close to them, they want to talk to us about important things. If you're doing all these mundane tasks, all you're doing is taking away value that you could be given to your client. And you're being you're being a jack of all trades and a master of none. What you're doing at best is you're becoming a COO of your practice. You're never going to be the CEO of your practice. If you don't invest in people, if you don't invest in the right people, and you encourage them to take risk alongside you, you're never going to reach your full potential.
And now we take you to Captiva Island with Bobby and Dom. Dom, what's the rule of 5?
The rule of 5 is the top 5 people that you hang around with. You are a product and you're becoming more like the 5 people that you hang around with. So the people that you spend your most time with. So if I said, Bobby and I actually hang around quite a bit with each other. So he's probably actually in there somewhere in the 5. I've got my wife, I've got my children, I've got my brother, and I've got close people to me in my life that I interact with. And every time I'm on the phone with them, hearing and absorbing their reaction to something that I'm saying, how do they handle stress? How do they handle difficult situation that I bring up? Is it like, another one of these like things, and like just that alone stresses me out. I'm like, why do we have to respond to it that way? Like, it is what it is. Here we are. Let's deal with this the best that we can with the resources that we have. And I believe that you're absorbing all of that. So pay attention to who you hang around with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pay attention to who you spend your time with.
Absolutely. The rule of 5 to me, and I actually learned that from you actually, is just that. It's the people you respect. When you go into some type of adversity, the first 3 to 5 people that you think of, what would Dom do? What would Shannon do? Shannon's part of my rule of 5. Okay, all right, I've got to bounce this idea. I need some feedback, whether it's negative or positive, because this is a big decision. And it's those first 3 to 5 people that they think, what would they do? Yep. And in what context would they be coming from when they're thinking about it?
Yep.
So how do you take the rule of 5 and apply it to building a team?
I think that it's a level of awareness. When you build a team and you understand you're becoming who you surround yourself with, that's the filtration process that's happened over at the command, SEAL Team 6. Is like you are constantly surrounded by the guys that are trying to get to where you're going. So it pushes you in another dynamic. You might be better at running than I am. You might be better shooting your gun than I am. You might be better at writing a document that explains what's going on or briefing somebody than I am. And that's motivating to me. I'm like, oh man, he crushed that brief. He didn't say once. He was super confident. He killed it. We all know exactly what's going on. That's inspiring to me. I got to go rack my brain and make sure I cut out all the things that I'm doing wrong. So when you're building a team, I think it's the awareness that you apply to everybody that works with each other. Can they complement each other? Can they contrast each other well? Can they help each other? Are they force multipliers with each other? Somebody just said something that I was just talking to. Actually, it was Robert Cooper. He's like, everybody is running their own race, but they're doing it together. Everybody's in this in their own unique way, but we're all in the same thing together. We're going to be unique individuals, but do we have the adaptive skills to work as a team? And I think when you're building a team, you have to be aware of that. So how you construct that, if you get one guy on the team that's like, doesn't want to work with anybody else, that's going to be toxic. That's going to be toxic to everybody else. If he's always stressed out, no matter how you slice the cake, he is going to be toxic to everybody else. He's always going to be the naysayer, right? And I'm all about like playing devil's advocate and coming up with strategy and all that, but somebody's negative impact can continue to bring other people down. Next thing you know, 2 people are like negative about it.
Yeah, it's a cancer.
It is.
It's a cancer. To me on the team building aspect is, for the team that I surround myself with, more particularly, well, not just work. I mean, it's transferable for my personal life as well. The team that I surround myself with are people that I truly do not want to disappoint. Think about that. All right. So these are my 3, 5. Keeping my children, you, Shannon, a few others on that list. I truly wake up every day and I don't want to disappoint you guys. I'm in a journey with you and what we do. I'm in a journey with my partners at work, and I truly, I think I've got a very healthy fear of failure. Some people will combat that state of mind, but I think you can have a healthy fear of failure if you channel a failure if you channel it the right way. But the key for me on teamwork, the people that I work with directly, I don't want to freaking disappoint you guys.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because that's a commonality I don't think that we've ever talked about. And some of the best leadership that I've had, I didn't want to disappoint them.
That's right.
And I didn't want to disappoint them because I respected them so much that I was like, man, you taught me something. You taught me how to improve or be better or lead me to a way that reflected well on me and made me better. So if you came in and taught me something, a year from now, I'm like, man, Bobby taught me that one thing that changed my life, right? So I owe it to you, in a sense, to me, to honor what you gave me, to honor that relationship. So now you're right. I don't want to disappoint you. I'm like, man, you helped get me here. Right. So why would I want to let you down, right? So I think that's a huge part of a teamwork dynamic of really saying, like, look, we don't want to let each other down because we're all in this together. Right. And there are people out there. How do you get to the bottom of that? I don't really know, because there are people out there that could give a shit. Yeah, they really could. That's right. They might be like, you know what? I don't really care if I let them down or not. Like, I'm just doing my thing because it's about me. Yeah. That's why that bigger purpose and that bigger picture is so important.
That's right.
Dom, you've said leaders influence other people because they really care, and you link that back to love. Love is not a language that's often, or a word that's often used in business. So how do you tie those things together?
Well, not even just in, if I can add to that, not just in business, but his background, being a warrior, being a SEAL Team 6 member, and, that type of training. It is kind of, I mean, when I met you 3 years ago and you start talking about love, I'm like, this guy's a badass. We're talking about love, So I love it, but I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I
Badass hat, by the way, man. I'm loving
man,
that.
I love
I'm
this hat
digging
too,
it.
dude. You guys crushed it with this. Love is such an important thing to talk about in all dynamics of life because, like I said, it's the most powerful human emotion that we have. So knowing that, what am I too good to talk about love? Am I too good to understand what that really means, to break that down, to love and to serve other people? There's nothing that's been able to teach me how to be more violent than how to love. And that's a very, who talks about those together, right? Like, maybe there'll be a connection to that someday, but there is a relationship, a very close and intimate one with those two dynamics because I am going to bring everything I have to bear because of what I do love, right? And I think that they should be talked about in business. They should be talked about as a warrior because it's a dynamic that helps fuel and fire you up to do everything that you're doing. Why ignore that? Why bury that? So as a leader, you should know what you love the most because that's going to help you get through those tough scenarios. It's going to get you through the tough challenges in life. It's absolutely something you need to be aware of.
Mm-hmm. If you don't love someone, how are you going to respect them?
Exactly. And we're called to love everybody. And as a leader, truly, I believe that if you approach it that way and you do care and you truly do go out of your way to say, I'm going to try to love this person with everything that I have, unconditionally. Because that's really what we're called to do. We're called to unconditionally love people around us. And I think that if you really try to do that, you peel back all the layers of crap and you really just get to the essence of what we're both there for. Mm-hmm. Like, you're here for a reason, I'm here for a reason, I truly care about you as a human being. And if I approach it and you feel that from me, I think people are going to be a lot more willing to be receptive and listen to what you have to say and work with you because it's not just self-lit. It's not selfish, it's selfless. And then it really does make a team dynamic work better, I believe.
Yep, I agree.
That's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining us. For more content like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media.